Welcome back to the Texas Rundown. As always, I'm your host, Danson. To my right, I have JP representing H-Town, or Clutch City as he likes to wear. To my left, I have Ish representing Dallas. And JP, I don't know if you noticed, but we don't have a representative of Ish right now. We have the real deal, so he can't hide behind those glasses and that cowboy hat to get out of his takes that he made.
If anybody should be hiding right now, it should be the man right across from me. His organization is an embarrassment.
Hey, we don't need to hide when we got a nice wall, so.
Oh yeah, jokes are going to save your season.
Hey, you don't know yet. Bunch of ifs in the off-season.
Right, exactly. We established this last time.
Yeah.
But, Rundown fans, we're going to move on away from NFL.
The hell are you doing?
And we're getting on to NBA.
Jesus.
So, December 22nd. I'm sorry, my months are all mixed up, as everything with COVID. I still feel like it's March, but December 22nd, the NBA season starts, and so we're going to dive into the Western Conference and where we feel like these teams stack up. So, JP, you started the last segment, so I'm going to go ahead and pass it on to Ish to go ahead and kick this thing off. So, what do you got here?
Sure, absolutely. This is going to be easy, right? And I think this is the only point of contention. And keep in mind, when me and JP agree, I mean, the apocalypse might as well happen, but I think we definitely agree on this one. The Lakers are so far going to be the best team that improved during the offseason, whether it be through different GM moves or just player personnel, whatever. They're the champs right now. They're riding that. And right now, there is nobody, in my opinion, that's really competing with these guys. Really. And then next, obviously, we have the Nuggets, the Clippers, the Jazz, the Rockets, the Mavs, Portland, and the Pelicans, right? So, I mean, you know, the Rockets obviously going to make the playoffs if they keep Harden. You know, there's a lot of stuff going on with that. You know, the Nuggets, very, very compelling performance that we saw in the playoffs, coming back from 3-1 twice. You know, I really wish, I would have loved to see it happen again. And then the Clippers just melting down. They just signed Paul George to a max contract. Maybe he won't be way off P after getting that sort of extension. Utah has a lot to look up to, you know, with Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert.
Wait, you said way off P. Is he related to Pancake P over here?
Oh my God! Yeah, I mean, I'm waiting for, you know, JP, my counterpart, my co-host, Pancake P, to come in and be like, whoa, Ish, Houston has a chance at winning the ship. Do you understand this? This is why James Harden's going to stay here.
Clutch City.
Oh, Clutch City. I'm sorry, because it's always that close. You know, whatever he wants to tell you. Like I said, he's gonna try to rob you. He's gonna try to sell you a bad bag of goods, something that's gonna make you sick. And at the end of the day, it's more like Choke City, right? The Rockets have been there before and they have not performed. JP's going to come up here. He's going to tell you, Pancake P in my opinion, because he likes to flip back and forth as to how he feels about his Rockets. He's going to tell you, oh, they competed very valiantly in the playoffs last year. Yeah, getting defeated 4-1 by the Lakers. Very, very valiant effort.
I mean, at least they got there.
I mean, it's not hard to say when we...
Did your team get there?
When we have a rookie and a banged-up second player, we almost beat the Clippers. The Clippers had a rough time getting out of the first round. The favorites to actually win the title. And then we got Portland. You know, I think
the Clippers had a lot of problems though. Like you guys definitely benefited off of a lot of the struggles the Clippers had at not only the roster but at the top with coaching.
And also
a lot of
Doncic
teams,
is a
including
second-year player,
the
not a
Denver
rookie.
Nuggets, just benefited off that weakness, right? There was definitely P wasn't hitting, and it was just a lot of different issues going on. I'm still kind of iffy about the way that they are with the new coaching staff, the new head coach being Ty Lue. I just don't feel too confident in this team. We don't have a leader in Kawhi Leonard. Yes, he's an amazing player, but he really doesn't have a voice in the locker room, unlike different players throughout the league. One of the best examples being LeBron James, right? So, I mean, just looking at this, I think it's going to be very, very competitive in the West in comparison to the East. Portland is definitely going to get your 7th or 8th seed. The Pelicans, in my opinion, are going to be your dark horse. They're going to come as a surprise to you guys with Zion and Lonzo and I think Redick and just all these different players that they have. I'm very excited to watch the Pelicans play this year.
JP, give your rundown of the West, and then I have a question for both of you in true Texas style.
I'm first going to start off here and talk about a sleeper team that I feel like is probably not getting enough press here in the West. A team that I believe, if they're healthy, a firm lock for the playoffs, probably a 7th or 8th seed, maybe a 6th seed at the best. I think the Phoenix Suns with Chris Paul there, I think could definitely snag a playoff spot. I would even pick them over the Pelicans just because you have Chris Paul. Everywhere Chris Paul goes, he always raises the floor for every team he goes to. You look at New Orleans, they had the best record. They had the best record they've ever had with Chris Paul there. It's ironic you mentioned the Rockets. The Rockets had their best regular season record of all time with Chris Paul there.
Chris
the
Paul
first
tends
year
to make the players around him better.
Oh, absolutely. He's an amazing floor general.
Playoffs. So you talk playoffs.
So you look at Chris Paul. He's going to obviously help out Devin Booker and Aiden and the gang. So I think Phoenix is definitely a playoff team for me. I look at the other teams. The top tier, obviously your Lakers are your top tier team, and there's a gap in everyone else. You look at the Nuggets, honestly losing Jeremy Grant, a good defender, honestly I think will be a pretty big loss for them. Maybe if Michael Porter Jr. can step up, maybe he can help them be what they were last year, but losing Grant was pretty big. I looked down these teams too. The Clippers, they lost Trez. I mean, he honestly costed them the series against the Nuggets. I don't know why Doc Rivers had an obsession with playing him against bigs, but I mean, he's a traffic cone on defense. Horrible move. I don't understand that at all.
It's going to be playing a lot for the Lakers.
They got Serge Ibaka in there, so that can help. Honestly, they still have a huge hole at point guard. So the Clippers, I think, will probably be about the same as last year. They definitely need to either in the buyout market or a trade market make some sort of move to upgrade at point guard. The Rockets obviously are that second tier of teams if everything stays the same. Obviously, if Harden's out, all bets are off. You look at the Mavericks, honestly, Josh Richardson, that was a great move by the Mavs. Obviously, it sucks losing Seth Curry's shooting ability, but adding a defender, a Heat guy, adding a defender, adding a guy that can make people feel uncomfortable, and a guy that can hit some threes.
It was one of those where you see a Woj bomb and you go, initially you go, what the hell are we doing? But then you think about it and you go, no, this is definitely what we need. We have enough deadly shooters on the team. So, I mean, I came around to it. It took me a while, but I think Josh Richardson, you're right, is a great addition to the team. Definitely helps us out defensively, and that's really what we need. That's what hurt us last season. And Rick Carlisle has said it multiple times. We didn't lose because we didn't have enough offense. We lost because we couldn't play defense.
Yeah, and I look around these teams too. I mean, another team that I think the only teams that definitively got better this offseason, I think the Lakers improved some too, but obviously your Suns and the Portland Trailblazers, I think they were a super banged up team last year. Yeah, they stuck in the playoffs with the play-in round and everything like that, but Nurkic will be healthy. They brought in Covington via trade. I love Covington on my Rockets. He's a great 3-and-D player that can fit in with any team in the league. So I think definitely Portland, if they're healthy, should probably be like a 4 or 5 seed, I believe.
4 or 5 seed. All right. Let's cut the BS. 4 or 5 seed. Who do you think would be below Portland at this point?
Quite a few teams.
I mean, I think it's on my list. I mean, as much as I like the Rockets and Mavs, I could definitely see Portland potentially being a higher seed than us if they're healthy. Obviously, they get Rodney Hood back. They added Robert Covington. They keep McCollum. They keep
This
is
really
Lillard.
your obsession with 3-and-D, Rocco, right? And then Dame. I mean, historically, they had to do the play-in last year. You know, Dame fought for them to get back into the mix, right?
Yeah, they had a lot of injuries, so I mean, they can't help that.
At this point, I just don't feel like they're strong enough, and you're putting them way above teams like the Mavericks, who obviously have 2 great All-Stars. Are you saying that the second great All-Star on the Portland Trailblazers is C.J. McCollum?
I mean, he is a very good player.
He's solid. I would say even a little bit
over. So you're saying that C.J. McCollum is better than Kristaps Porzingis?
If Kristaps can play, no. But
okay,
the best ability is availability.
We talk about it all the time.
Sure, and I
That's
mean
your favorite thing to say, so I'm just
Portland
throwing
is
it right back to you.
Portland is very banged up right now. Kristaps is.
Well, I mean, they're going to be healthy this
play.
season. Nurkic will be able
I mean,
to
he's
play.
missing the beginning of the season.
They'll have,
He's
they'll
not
have,
gonna play
Covington,
at
they'll
least
have
until
Covington,
January.
they'll have Covington, Nurkic, CJ, and Dame for day one when the season starts. They get Hood back. We'll see how he recovers from the Achilles injury. But I mean, and honestly, another breakout star in the bubble too. Gary Trent Jr. was a great 3-point shooter for them as well. So I mean, they have a good team. I mean, I'm not saying
He was great
they're going
in
to win the
college.
West by any means, but I think they could definitely be a 4th or 5th seed. I don't think that's super far fetched.
I mean,
Yeah, and then CJ McCollum. I mean, we don't know what this Blazers team is going to look like because CJ McCollum is like he's on the trade block. They're very open to trading him.
Oh yeah,
And
I'm
so,
sure they
like,
are for
this
the right
team-
deal.
And he's a good enough player that you could get a good package for somebody like CJ.
It
McCollum.
definitely-
He's a good complement. If you have a 1-2 superstar already, he would be a good complement to step in.
with being almost 2 weeks out before the start of the preseason, not even the regular season, obviously there's a lot of moves to make. Definitely there's some rumble in the jungle going on from Houston. There is,
Well, in the jungle, eh?
I mean, you tell me what a star player saying he's willing to go to a contender like the 76ers after already mentioning he wanted to go to the Nets means to you. But I mean,
else he said he wanted to go to?
but I mean that's beyond the point. I mean, really, what we need to be talking about is, you know, how is the Western Conference gonna work through, you know, the Lakers? Are we gonna see sort of how do we call it? Help me out here. Kawhi Leonard's famous for it.
Load management?
Load management. I'm sorry, I could
Laughing.
not think of the 2 words. Just doesn't happen much here in Dallas. But you know, the load management that's going to go on. How does that affect them, seeding wise? Having a shortened season, and then on top of that, having such a short off season. How does that affect those that move into the regular season? You know, looking at that, that's going to be really taxing upon teams like the Heat or the Lakers.
I'll tell you that one team that it helps, the Brooklyn Nets. Both of their superstars did not play in the bubble. I mean, KD was obviously hurt, but Kyrie opted out. They're going to come back fresh. But we're not talking about the East right now. We're staying on the West. And I have a big question for you guys because
sure.
I feel like this is going to be a very, very intense conversation. Rockets or Mavericks? Who's going to have the better season?
I don't think this is intense at all. I think this is one of the few situations where I'm going to look at JP right across. and
Given
he's
that
gonna
Harden
tell-
stays also.
He's going to tell me that the Mavs are going to win, even if the Harden stays. Wall hasn't played in 2 years. We've had this conversation. With him not having played in 2 years, it's going to take him a while for the rust to come off. By the time it does come off in, let's say, February or March, it's probably going to be too late. They're going to solidify a late seat, such as like a 7th or 8th, where they end up having to play a sort of a Denver or a Clippers in the sort of in the playoffs. It's just not going to help them at this point. The Mavericks are much more solid of a team. We're definitely at least going to make it to the second round, if not further.
I agree with you with the Mavs, but your take on the Rockets is just blasphemous.
What I will say is the Rockets, if they stay the way they are right now, James Harden ends up sticking around with this team honestly is one of the better Rockets rosters we've had since we took the Warriors to 7 games. If you look at this team and break it down, Christian Woods was an amazing signing. It sucked we had to move Rocco. Ideally, it would have been great if we could have moved Eric Gordon, kept Rocco, and added Christian Woods. But Christian Woods is a great guy. We bring the pick and roll back to the offense like Harden had with Capella. And Christian Woods can also stretch the floor and shoot threes. You look around as well. House is back. Obviously, he had his bubble suspension. He's back. John Wall. If John Wall can literally just not turn the ball over, hit the catch and shoot 3 at the league average of 35 or over, as a fit next to Harden, he's an upgrade over
And he
Russ.
can handle the ball as
So
well.
He can handle the ball too.
I really think Houston fans specifically pancake P over here because he can't make up his mind if he likes Westbrook, if he likes Chris Paul, if he thinks they suck, if he thinks getting rid of them was great. Beyond that point, I think you really overestimate the pick and roll points, right? Like, yes, he did get some pretty good points.
That was identity of the Rockets offense was Clint Capella.
Well, if we look at the stats when it comes to
And all he
James
did was run
Harden,
straight
he
up, right?
actually averaged more points per game not having a center and playing microball than he did when Clint
He averaged
Capella was
30.
still on
He
the
averaged
team.
36 the season before. He averaged 34 this season. So he averaged 2 more. No, but I'm saying efficiency-wise, and as far as running offensive
It
sets,
obviously did
which
not
Silas-
phase him that much.
Well, no, I mean, he's an
was
ISO
averaging
god. He
basically
can make
the same
adjustments and
numbers.
make things work. But as far as like having offensive sets to run, which is great, we'll have Silas. And honestly, Silas
And then Rick Carlisle,
might be a secret weapon too, because he knows a lot of the sets and plays that the Mavericks run. So if we ran into you guys, I feel pretty good about Silas being the inside man and knowing what you guys run and being able to make a defensive adjustment. So as far as coaching.
That's a really wild thought to think that if you get the 7th seed, you're going to get to play the
I mean, I don't think we're going to be the 7th seed. I mean, the thing is with the Rockets, as long as you have James Harden and some decent role players,
Well, you're not.
You win.
You're not going to have James Harden. He's already openly made it known that he doesn't want to be there.
Okay, then where does he go?
I mean, like I said, there's a lot of moves that
Where does he go?
At this point, I think the most logical place for him to go right now is the 76ers. Obviously, not a straight trade for Ben Simmons. You got to throw in some draft picks. But for the 76ers, it makes a lot of sense, right? And
well, I know Daryl Morey is begging for this deal. We understand that.
You tell me where you're going to get a better deal, because if you let him play this entire season and get to the last season of his contract, you're going to get nothing for him.
I do
And he's
not
going to
think
go
that Ben
sign
Simmons
with
is going to
somebody
be
else.
traded.
I mean, the thing is, there's a lot of smoke screens here. Like, apparently the 76ers have said they're not going to trade their young guys, whatever. Daryl Morey, the guy that traded for James Harden in the first place and believed that his skill set could scale from being a sixth man on a really good team and that could scale and be an NBA superstar. You bet your ass Daryl Morey wants James Harden. Do I think the Rockets would give James Harden to the 76ers and give him to Morey? I do not believe Tillman Fertitta would do that. He'd rather take a lesser offer. But my thing is, I feel
So
like
what is the lesser
Trade away
offer?
for pennies over giving him to
Because we
Morey.
have to understand, at some point, Harden has to be moved, and it has to be this season. With him so openly being about leaving Houston, he's going to have no trade value come the last season of his contract.
Who knows, maybe he
has to get
maybe he starts a team in Vegas.
But the thing is, you say that he has no trade value with one season left on his contract.
We've seen it before. He can hold out.
No, I mean you can hold out,
Anthony
but
Davis
you
got
see
traded.
it. But no, I'm saying with a year left, you
Exactly.
see the AD deal. I mean, obviously there's a trade deadline, but you look around and see, like, I mean, obviously they gave up. It was an all-star for an all-star. I mean, nobody believes that the Spurs Raptors trade, but there could be a team that sees their window to be next season. The NBA changes overnight. There could be a team that sees James Harden and says, we have a chance to add a top 5 NBA player to our, who cares if his contract is expiring? We can win a championship and maybe sell him on staying if we win now. There are going to be teams that look at it that way if we hold hard through the deadline.
And they don't even have to win a championship. They can just come close.
So what you're telling me is that a team is willing to give a king's ransom for a guy who openly has said he doesn't want to be where he's getting traded and leave once his contract's done.
I think they'll give him to one of the teams that he's requested. I mean, I don't think he's going to be. I don't think we're going to dump him to Sacramento or Charlotte. Like, I think it'll be probably one of the teams on his list of contenders that all happen to be in the least conference. But
as much time as he spent in Vegas, and he pretty much owns the Houston Rockets at this point.
Oh,
Gotten
for
him
sure.
to make every move that he's wanted.
Oh, absolutely.
And so I'm thinking that he's just going to go buy his own team in Vegas and just start his
yeah,
own.
start an expansion team.
I mean, he spends enough time there, right?
Oh, for sure. He'd be the cornerstone.
You guys are in a precarious position, as I mentioned previously on this podcast, and it's only gotten worse for the Rockets since that podcast, where James Harden does have a lot of power, but he does not have the power to get himself moved, right? He even made a statement, I would rather prefer to play with Wall over Westbrook, right? Like, even then, he made it seem like Houston did this for him to try to keep him around. At the end of the day, even after that statement was made, he even was quoted saying, I want to be traded to a contender like the 76ers. And if that wasn't enough, then he shows up late for training camp, openly being photographed in the club with little baby, his best friend. friend, just so he could party and shove it in the
Hey, I'll
Rockets'
tell you what,
face that he doesn't want to be in Houston. This is ridiculous.
I would love to have a friend like James Harden give me the gifts like he gave Lil Baby.
Oh yeah, dude. He gave him all the stacks,
That was
dude. He
incredible.
got him the donuts as well. But in all seriousness, I mean, we look at Harden here, like he's going to start the season on the Rockets. I don't think it's going to be a random Woj bomb trade like the Russell Westbrook John Wall one. And the thing is, he sees this team as far in the West. That's why all of his requests happen to
I
be
see
all.
it as a Woj bomb, Paul George Thunder trade.
They all happen. He doesn't want to be in the West. All his destinations seem to be Eastern Conference teams because he knows in the West, in order to get James Harden, they would have to give up so many pieces to where they wouldn't be a true contender anymore. I mean, the Nuggets offered Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. Yeah, I'll take that. But they're probably not going to. Definitely not going to. But you look at, he wants to go to the East, and you look at James Harden. He sees his windows closing. He's 31 years old. But if he can't go to a Philly or a Nets situation or the Celtics, but Danny Ainge doesn't like giving up anybody.
Forgetting about the Miami Heat.
Or the Heat. And the thing is, if he doesn't go to any of those
I don't
teams,
think it's smart.
there's
for the
no
Heat to do it.
team in the West for sure that if he gets traded to, he's in a better situation than he is day one starting with the Rockets.
Well, obviously, because the Western Conference is the most competitive conference.
The East is getting there, though. We'll talk about that next time. But the East is definitely leveling the playing field with the West. They got a lot of good teams.
Well,
But the
I think
problem in
top
the
six-
West is you got to go through two of the top 5 players in the NBA on the same team, right there.
Oh, God,
you
that
have to go
East was
through
trash, but-
two of the top five
Two of the top
teams in the league in the West. One of which has shown a track record to get to the finals for the past 10 years, 11 years, I guess now, LeBron James. And at this point, James Harden, if I was James Harden, I would definitely want to move to the East. I really don't think that he wants to stay in Houston. You guys will, if he stays with you through the playoffs, you'll be happy to try to contend the first round, but really not getting much more than that. I think that the Dallas Mavericks are going to have a breakout season. The way that I know that is that the NBA has bought in to Luka Mania and given the Dallas Mavericks the premiere, the Turkey Day, the Christmas Day event versus the most recent champs, the LA Lakers and LeBron. I'm
And the
looking
NBA
forward to that.
champions, yeah.
And the NBA is buying into Luka's MVP season.
Oh, I mean,
That's
he's
the
for sure going to be
Mavericks
MVP. I don't think anyone's debating that. I mean, let's be real. I mean,
Christmas Day
all
game.
all
Is it
these
the second one or the?
I think it's the second one.
all these
Yeah.
quote-unquote pundits, I mean, they've embarrassed themselves year after year picking Giannis, and he melts down the playoffs and makes them all look like a bunch of idiots. Harden obviously is disqualified
hard to
himself from being
MVP, you can't
MVP
shoot.
because he has a play style that the media guys don't like. So with Luka, he's the new toy on the shelf. So he's for sure, it's his to lose. If he's healthy, Luka will absolutely win the MVP.
He's the new
I really don't think. I really don't think
Still
anyone else can
one
compete
of
with
the
him.
best all-around players.
Oh, absolutely. No, he's amazing. But
you
you
know,
look at his
Toy
competition.
on the shelf. He is literally putting up numbers at an
Oh, he's a
age
monster.
that
No one's
nobody
debating
else
that.
has.
But the thing is, if you look at like
And
you're not-
he's put better numbers than
Harden.
LeBron did.
The thing is, Harden and Giannis are not going to win the MVP. Voter fatigue on Giannis. The NBA voters just hate Harden. I mean, Harden averaged 29 points a game and didn't even make an All NBA third team. So I mean, there's always people out there to get Harden. They don't like the way he plays or whatever. And you look at other guys. Anthony Davis and LeBron are on the same team, so they're neither one of them are ever going to win the MVP. So I mean, it's Luka's to lose. So I'm excited to see what happens.
LeBron could still win it with him.
I do think
Sure.
He's not going to ever be able to win with AD on his team. There's not a chance LeBron can win
So
MVP with
then,
AD on his team.
what is KP? KP is very much an all-star in this league, and definitely
In the West, not really. The West is so stacked. It's going to be
If he
difficult
can
for him
stay
to ever snag an All-Star spot in the West.
I don't believe so.
If y'all have a top 3 record in the West, it's possible if he's healthy. But the thing is, he isn't going to start the season. He's going to be in and out. Like it's going to be difficult. The West is so stacked. It's going to be hard. Like I mean, you look at all these teams. I mean, the Lakers have 2 All-Stars. The Rockets have Harden. You guys have Luka. You look at the Clippers, Paul George, Kawhi, the Nuggets. They have Jokic. Right? Like, there's so many guys. It's gonna be hard for Porzingis to find a spot. And I like him a lot, but I think it'd be very difficult, far-fetched for him to snag an all-star spot in the West. If he was in the East, he'd be an all-star probably every single year.
think so.
Injuries and everything. He could play the West and still be
And the East is more stacked now. Obviously, if Kyrie.
Obviously, Golden State's not in this conversation because Klay Thompson's injured, right? Like
It's just tough to tell what they're going to do.
Oh, for sure. And they got new Ray, so I didn't mention Golden State. I'm glad you did. Like, I do think they could definitely be in that 6 to 8 spot, and they could be a pretty scary team to run in the first round if Steph gets hot. Durability questions with Steph were always an issue. Oubre, Wiseman was good. Draymond comes back, so I mean, they could do something. So I mean, I definitely think they could possibly snag a playoff spot, but they'll definitely be in that like 6 to 8 slot. You know, battling with New Orleans, battling with Phoenix. So the Warriors are a team I didn't beat now.
The Warriors are back to what they were right before they acquired all these guys, before they put together the superstar team.
Exactly. So they'll be one to watch.
You know, going back to the KP thing real quick before we close out, you know, the beauty of him, if he is healthy, then he's a great compliment. Say that Luka goes out for a little while, you can keep him in and say, you know, for
he
instance,
would put
whenever
up Luka numbers, and he has put up Luka numbers.
Yeah, when Luka's not playing,
he beat the Bucks without Luka last year.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I mean, he puts up 20, 30 points.
One
whenever
thing
Luka's
that
not
we
playing.
do not recognize about the Mavericks is how deep this team is and how well Coach Carlisle can make in-game adjustments.
Oh, yeah.
We were a very scrappy team. We, all the pundits wanted to say, oh, the Clippers were just going to roll us. It wasn't even going to be a contest. And look at that. The Clippers were holding on to their seats, hoping they got to the second round. They were worried. They did not expect us to put up such a fight. And had KP not gotten injured, you can quote me right now, we would have made it to the second round.
I mean, I
Could have, should have.
I agree that could have, but it didn't happen. You know who did make it all the way through?
Your Miami Heat.
Well, no, not all the way through. You guys got blocked.
Hey, man,
at the final
We were
stage of the game.
were we not one of the last two teams playing? So there you go. Yep, we made it all the way through.
Your first
got
place,
to the finals.
your first place loser. I give you that.
Hey, I'll take that for where we've been in the last few years. Absolutely, 100%. I bet you wish you could say that as a Mavericks fan.
I can say that I've won a championship more recently than you have.
No, you haven't.
No, you have not.
The Heat have won 2 titles.
14 and 15.
The last time you won here was in 2011.
That's right. That's you know what? That's my bad. That's Ish brain right there.
There you go. That's
Okay, I think you have to drink after that.
yeah. That's a required thing. But so JP Ish was very clear on his. He's definitely taking the Mavericks. Are you definitely taking that the Rockets are going to be better than the Mavericks this year?
I mean, honestly, it's going to be a battle. That 2 through 8, really, there's no clear-cut, like, second-best team after the Lakers. If the Rockets are healthy, which is a big if, you have Boogie coming off an Achilles injury, same with John Wall. If the Rockets are healthy, which is one of the bigger ifs in the league, I think the Rockets, just because Harden is just such a monster, I think the Rockets could be above the Mavs. And the thing is, I feel like the Rockets and Mavs could be like a 3 and 4 seed, or they could be like a 4 and 5 seed. We don't really know. But if I'm a betting man, the Rockets are healthy. Harden ends up buying into this team. I think the Rockets could have an edge there. It'll be very close. I definitely think it'll probably have 2 or 3 games to separate them, but it'll be very interesting for sure.
Harden buys into this game.
Yeah.
He's openly said he doesn't. So.
We'll see. We'll see when he comes back from Vegas. Maybe he cleared his head. Maybe he came around. But I will say, just to wrap this, do you have a last take?
One thing.
Go ahead.
If Harden buys into this team, that's in question, right? Well, I'm just going to say one thing, and I'll pass it over to Danson. Luka Doncic has openly bought a mansion and is now neighbors with our owner, Mark Cuban. So, if he buys into this team, I'm really.
Well, I mean, he's young, coming on a rookie contract. Like, a lot can change. I mean, like, the Rockets, like, Harden's been the only guy in the NBA to take his team into the playoffs every single year since he was traded to Houston. So he's bought him for a very long time. It's just eventually age will catch up to you. If Luka was 31 and didn't have a ring with the Mavs, you bet your ass Luka would be definitely exploring his options to force his way out of Dallas if he didn't have a championship by then. Yeah. Which he should.
He hasn't gotten everything that he wanted, whether it be getting rid of Chris Paul or getting rid of, I guess in this more recent instance, gaining Wall or what was it, Dwight Howard? Like I'm confused. How many times has he been, oh, this isn't a contender, get me somebody new, right? Like he's obviously a prima donna. He obviously hasn't gotten it to work, and that's why he wants out, because he can't do it with Houston.
Well, I mean, Luka's a baby, so we'll see what happens with Luka. It's easy to say Luka's body and everything like that. He's on a rookie contract. He hasn't faced any real adversity in the NBA. So until all that happens, the book has yet to be written on how Luka handles adversity, because he hasn't faced any. He's a sophomore player. He lost in the
I think that Clippers
playoffs.
series
A lot of it could change.
quite a bit of adversity.
I would definitely.
Oh yeah, I know. I mean, he definitely did pretty well in the
Making
series,
a
but
walk-off win shot in a playoff game.
oh yeah, oh for sure. Oh, I mean, he's I mean,
Absolutely.
he's done his thing.
And also, you got to take into the fact that the guy's from Slovenia, and his first city that he's lived in is this beautiful city of Dallas, Texas. Like,
Absolutely.
it would be hard to leave if this is the first place you stop. Why go anywhere else? But I'm going to wrap this thing up. JP, do you have any last takes?
Not really at all. I mean, the West is going to be a bloodbath like it normally is. It very well the second through the 8th seed, who honestly knows who will occupy those spots. It'll be very interesting teams to watch. Obviously, like the Warriors we mentioned later on are kind of an interesting team to watch. The Suns, another interesting team to watch. And my Rockets, we'll see what happens with Harden. The Mavs. So the West is definitely must-see TV. That second through 8th seed is going to be blockbuster television. Record that stuff, watch it. It's going to be great to watch. So I'm very excited. So I don't really have too much to say, but it's going to be something else.
The Real Housewives of the Western Conference.
Absolutely.
Yes, do you have any final takes here?
Not really. Obviously, the one point where we agree, right? Lakers are definitely way in the lead right now. It can definitely change. JP Pancake P is absolutely delusional if he thinks that James Harden is going to stay before the All-Star break. Houston knows it. Everybody knows it. The Mavericks are going to be much better this year, at least in comparison to the Rockets. But you're right. It's going to be a bloodbath, as always, in the Western Conference. So I'm looking forward to this season. It's going to be a great season.
It will be a great season. And I will just say, to close this out for you guys, that and again, I'm in Texas, so I do not gamble, but Vegas is saying that the Mavs are plus 2,000 to win the championship, and the Rockets are plus 5,000. So I think Vegas sides with Ish on this one. But you know what? The offseason is a bunch of ifs. So we will know in 3 weeks, December 22nd, that's when we'll begin to know how these teams are going to turn out. So again, thank you so much for tuning into the Texas Rundown, and we will see you next time.